So we are on number 10. It says, consider the following data. Determine the midpoint, okay? The midpoint of each interval. Determine the midpoint of each interval. All right, determine the midpoint of each interval. This was not written previously, so let me just, okay. Determine the midpoint of each interval. These are the intervals: 5 to 15, 15 to 30, 30 to 45, 45 to 55. Each interval has boundaries, the lower boundary and the upper boundary, the lower boundary and the upper boundary. So for example, the midpoint of this first interval is the lower boundary plus the upper boundary divided by 2. Okay, here it is. The midpoint of each interval, and you can get information in week 4, page 8 and 9 with regards to intervals. Okay, so to manually calculate the midpoint of an interval and you want to type it, you go to insert, you go to equations, you look for fraction, and you open a bracket, 5 plus 15, close bracket, divided by 2. This will give you the boundary of the midpoint of this first interval. Make sure when you do not use brackets, okay, because you want to make sure that the addition is done before division. Normally, the calculator is programmed to do division before addition. So if you don't put the bracket, you're going to get a different answer. Okay, the midpoint between 5 and 15 is 2, is 10, sorry. But if, let's say you don't put the bracket, put 5 plus 15 divided by 2. The calculator is going to do that division first and then add 5, and then add it to 5, because division comes before addition in the order of operations, and the calculators, all calculators are programmed for that. So you're not going to get 10. If you do it this way, you are going to get 12.5. Okay, because as you can see, the division is taking place first and then the addition. So to avoid or to communicate to your calculator, you want it to add those two numbers before divide by 2, because it's an average of those two numbers you're finding. Put 5 plus 15 in brackets, okay? So you're going to get 10. Now this is doing this the old school way, you know, the classical way, the, you know, before way. We're going to create, going to our Excel, or faithful Excel. We go to a new sheet and then look at what you can do. Okay. Go to Excel. Okay, let's minimize this. Minimize that. Minimize this. Where are you? Oh, you're at the back there. Right. Also look the Excel there. And look our values there. Let's bring this up a little bit. So that's calculating the midpoint the before way, the old school way. I don't really want to say the old school, but you know, chalk and board, you know, chalk and board, pen and paper. So that's calculating midpoint, chalk and board, pen and paper way. Okay, you draw, you take a pen and a paper and you draw. But in the real research, you're not going to take pen and paper and draw table, because you want to present a proper research document. Okay, you can easily go to Excel. The lower boundaries, you can put it in the first column: 5, 15, 30, and 45. These are the lower boundaries. Yes. Upper boundaries in the second column: 15. So that's 5 to 15, 15 to 30, 30 to 45, and 45 to 55. And there you're going to calculate your midpoints. Okay. The midpoints, you can easily type equal open bracket, A1 plus B1 close bracket divided by 2, enter. Here's your 10. Look the 10 there, look the 10 there. Okay. And if you just go to that famous green little square on the bottom right corner, and then you double click, bam, look your midpoints there. Okay. So you don't necessarily have to do it manually. Okay. So I can easily delete this and just go here, copy this, and just go there, paste this, bam, these are the midpoints. Okay. So we have calculated the midpoints manually and also using Excel.